Name is Jeffrey Sledge. I was born and raised in White Plains, New York, which is in Westchester, outside the city. And my background in music started in '89, so that's 23 years now almost. My first job was a small label called Wild Pitch Records. It was an indie label. It was only myself, the owner, and his wife, who broke out every day at like 4 o'clock because she hated hip hop, you know what I mean? So it really was just me and him, and then a couple other guys came a little later. And the artists that I worked with at that point were Gang Starr, Chill Rob G, Main Source, Lord Finesse, whoever I might be forgetting, I apologize. And then Gang Starr left and went to a label called Chrysalis Records, which is a rock label, who had decided to kind of stick their foot in the rap game because, not because they liked it, because it was making paper. And they gave Gang Starr a deal, and Gang Starr and I were really close because we did so much travel on the road together and whatnot. And so when they left, they wanted me to go with them. So it was like, yo, we're taking you with us to Chrysalis. So that was my second job, Chrysalis Records with Gang Starr. And then I left Chrysalis in late 91, I guess, early 92, to go to Jive. And went to Jive and then stayed at Jive from 92 to 95, excuse me. Then I left Jive, went to Epic, worked at Epic from 95 to like 97, and then came back to Jive in 97 and worked at Jive until they just recently dissolved the label in 2011. I did promotions when I first started. Did rap promotions, so I was the guy taking the records to Flex and all those guys. The difference with me and most of the A&R cats is that, and even the promotion cats at the time was, my background when I went to college, I went to Morgan State. I did radio, that was my major, communications. So I just had a real interest in radio. So when I would talk to guys, when I was doing promotions, I would always be asking them like, yo, what's going on in your market? Like, tell me what the hottest record is in Cleveland. What's the dopest shit in Dallas? I was always really interested in that, and always had a keen ear for that kind of thing. I was always interested in me. So when I switched into A&R, the thing about Jive is that Jive was different than a label like Def Jam in that most of our artists weren't from New York. You know what I mean? We had Too Short from Oakland, of course, 40s from Oakland, UGK is from the Houston area. So we had a lot of artists from the Bay Area, actually. Spice One, Souls of Mischief, those guys are from the Bay. Kelly from Chicago, and on and on and on. So the difference with me and most people is that I traveled a lot. So most of the artists that I work with weren't from here. So I was always able to like look at and hear and see new trends because I was always in those cities. I was in Houston before it became cool. You know what I'm saying? I knew about Screw and all that stuff from Pimp C and Chat and Bun way before it burst onto the mainstream with Paul Wall and those guys. No disrespect to them, I'm just saying, but I was there in that market, so I saw the development of it. I remember when seeing Nelly for the first time, the fascination for me was, I've never been to St. Louis. So I was like, oh, that's what niggas in St. Louis look like. Like, that's how they wear their shit. Like, oh, they wearing St. Louis Rams jerseys. Like, oh, that's a whole other thing. They got their little dance. Like, that's something I had never seen before. When Cash Money busted out, it was like, oh, that's how New Orleans niggas rock. Or they wear Jabos and Reeboks and 2 watches and, like they say bling bling. It's like, they're basically like, they're opening up their culture to the world, And working with somebody like Q-Tip or, Pimp C and Bun or 40 or, RZA, you know what I'm saying? With the Ghostface album. Like the amount of time and focus that they put into making the records was intense. It was like intense. Like they would go, everything wasn't computerized at the time, so people recorded on 2-inch tape. The bad thing about 2-inch tape was if you fucked up, that was it. You couldn't change it. It was not like Pro Tools. It's like, oh, I made a mistake, just erase it and do it again. If you messed up on the tape was no good, and the tape was like $200 a reel. So it made you really practice and focus before you started recording because this was an expensive process, This is Jeffrey Sledge. You're watching Karma Loop TV. Reclaim your TV.